is Congresswoman Norton for 5 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, can you hear me?
We can hear you, yes.
Very much appreciate this hearing as we try to focus on what we learn for the future. My first question is for Inspector General Soskin. The district is Amtrak's hub, so I'm particularly interested that Congress provided almost $4 billion in supplemental appropriations for Amtrak in response to COVID-19. Earlier this summer, you did an audit report on the Federal Railroad Administration's program of oversight of Amtrak's use of federal funding. Your report found a range of problems at FRA, incomplete policies to assess Amtrak's adherence to programs, et cetera. You made several recommendations to FRA to improve its oversight. Can you describe FRA's response to your office's findings and the specific steps it plans to take to implement your recommendations?
Yes, Representative Norton, I can. That audit report on FRA's oversight of Amtrak grant spending recognized in it its likely application and the application of those recommendations to the future spending through CARES Act and other coronavirus relief funds that actually exceed the amount of grant funding that FRA typically administers for Amtrak. And we made several recommendations, which FRA has accepted and is in the process of implementing, I believe, with target dates for closure later in 2021. Those recommendations include that they create measurable oversight goals and metrics for their oversight of Amtrak spending, that they create and develop policies and procedures by which they can track on a comprehensive basis the issues that are identified in their oversight, so that they don't just identify issues and then those remain unaddressed by Amtrak. And relatedly, that they develop a more robust set of procedures to identify issues they identify that may need to be escalated to a higher level to work with Amtrak to assure compliance with what has been identified in our FRA's oversight. We believe that if these recommendations are implemented and implemented successfully and executed upon, they will greatly assist FRA's oversight of those Amtrak supplemental funds in the COVID relief legislation.
I appreciate that you set target dates and that apparently these dates are being adhered to. My next question is for Mr. Krause of GAO. I'm chair of the subcommittee that has just passed the Transportation Infrastructure Bill, and the district, of course, has Metro and is dependent on transit. So I'm particularly interested in the billions in grant assistance to help transit agencies that Congress provided to manage their fiscal restraints. So, Mr. Krause, I would like to ask, how did the Federal Transit Administration perform in managing such a large influx of funds and getting it to transit agencies in a timely manner?
Thank you, Congressman Norton. This is actually Heather responding to your question, Heather Krause. So FTA, we found that they had some initial implementation challenges as they, because of the use of funds was expanded beyond what they typically did. But when we've talked to transit agencies, they found that they identified very few challenges that they've experienced in getting the funds. As it's been implemented and as we get into the newer funds that have come out, there is more challenges at the local level as they figure out how to allocate the funds among different entities at the local level. But otherwise, we've heard few challenges from the transit agencies in terms of implementation. I know that our colleagues at the DOTIG are looking more closely.
Gentlewoman's expired. Time's expired.